What's going on today, YouTube? Welcome back to your favorite cyclist YouTube channel. This week, we're working on planning out our next build and talking about what we're going to be doing with it. But before we get into today's video, if you're new to my channel, make sure you head down below, hit that subscribe button for me. If you're already subscribed, make sure that little bell icon right next to that is checked off. That way you get notified every time I upload, so you don't miss any of this awesome cycling content we got on the channel. So right on to the video, we're talking about our next build. And yes, we are finally going to start the build on the Galaxy. So why are we doing a whole planning video on this bike when we haven't done one before? Big deal is the Galaxy is going to need a lot of work, and there's a lot of things that need to be done to this that are, how do you say it, out of the box a little bit different than what you do to a normal bike. If we look back at our past couple builds, we look at the first build we really did on this channel, that's Project Mongoose back there. That was essentially restoring an old bike that had just been left out and neglected. They were able to rebuild that bike, build it back up to the way it was from the factory, and that bike works great. The next build we really did was the fat bike. The fat bike was the next one. That bike was really all about losing weight and seeing what we could do to get weight off of that bike. And it was a pretty quick build since it is winter time and I want to get riding that bike. We made that build pretty quick. In comparison, the Galaxy will not be that quick. Whereas the fat bike can finish in like a month, the Galaxy is going to take quite a bit longer than that. And that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be planning out exactly what we're going to be doing to this bike. So we can have this ready and I can kind of go through and actually check mark things off. And you guys can hold me accountable for actually getting this bike done. It's just been hanging there and I'm afraid it's going to keep hanging there for forever. So let's talk about this bike. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead, get my piece of cardboard here. If you have a project you need to get done, there's multiple parts to it, get yourself a piece of cardboard, Sharpie, you're going to make your list. And that's how it's going to work. Don't look at the back of that, but this is the best way I've seen to do things. You can cross things off. It's always a visual reminder of everything you got to do for it. And when you're done with it, you can chuck this thing, do whatever you want. It makes you feel good, feel like you accomplished something. So we're going to start our list here. So we're going to call this Project Galaxy. So let's start right up here at the bars and work our way to the back of the bike. I think that's going to be the most simplest way to do this. I will say before we even start looking at things, all that's going to be left of what you see in this bike right now is pretty much going to be the frame and the fork. That's going to be it. Everything else is getting changed. There's nothing on here that's going to be the same other than the frame and the fork, and that's kind of what I wanted. I wanted this bike to be like a resto mod, so an old looking bike with new parts underneath it, new parts driving it. So, let's talk about the handlebars. So the handlebars on here right now are garbage. I don't like these at all. They're way too narrow. This bike is from like the 80s, so it's kind of narrow on the bars. I don't like those. So we're going to need to upgrade the bars, of course. With that being said, it's going to be a gravel touring bike, so we're going to need some kind of swoop drop bars. I do want to go drop bars on this bike still, so we're going to need to do some drop bars up here, of course, on here. And then, of course, I'm not going to keep the brake levers that are on here. These are called suicide levers is what they're called. And that's essentially because you can grab the bars, grab your brakes, and flip over the bars. Really easy with those. So we're going to go with different brake levers, and then for our shifters, we're not going to do integrated brake lever shifters. We're not doing that. We're actually going to do separate bar end shifters down here. That way it's more of a gravel touring style bike versus a road bike. A lot simpler, a lot easier to repair. And I've talked about on the channel that I think that style works very well for a gravel or adventure style bike. And then of course with our stem. So stem, I'm not concerned about bar tape. Bar tape's going to come. You know, I kind of need to figure out what I want to do with bar tape exactly, but bar tape's going to come, not worried about that. Might as well put it down, honestly. Bar tape. From there, we'll move on to our stem. So this is a 1-inch threaded headset here. If I want to go to a modern look and feel to this bike, obviously we're going to need to go to a threadless style. However, with it being a threaded and 1-inch, that's not going to work. So we're going to keep it 1-inch, we're going to do an adapter up here to convert it up to 1 inch in a threadless headset, and then be able to attach a standard stem to there and be able to run as big of a bar as we want. We're not going to stuck with the 25.4 millimeter bar. So we're going to need to do a conversion. So we're going to do a threadless conversion on here. This list is already getting long. That's pretty much going to be our whole cockpit area right there. It pretty much covers everything from braking, shifting, controls. That's all going to be covered right there. We are going to get a new headset on here because this bike, again, is from the 80s. So that headset's about 45 years old, probably. You know, that headset's about 40-ish years old. It needs a different headset. So we're going to do a headset on here. So new headset, of course, is going to be done on here. So moving on from there, we'll talk about the wheels. So the wheels that are on here right now are super cheap. I bought them at a thrift store pretty much to try and see if my theory of design would work for this bike. Pretty much this bike came with a 27-inch wheel from the factory, which is hanging up behind me actually. Came with 27-inch wheels from the factory, which obviously are not a common size at all anywhere. So if you were kind of venturing or gravel riding wherever and you had a flat tire and you didn't have a tube or anything and you needed help, yeah, you're kind of sunk. You're kind of stuck trying to find a tube or a tire to fit that. So we wanted to go with a more standard 700C, which is pretty much a 28-inch, pretty much your standard road bike, cross bike tire. So I got these to try them. They do fit in the frame, and I have clearance, which is what I wanted to see. So these tires do fit. So these tires on here, these are 35mm wide tire, and I have clearance. Is what really I was looking for, is do I even have clearance to run a 700 with a wide tire on there? And I do on this bike. So with that being said, am I going to use these wheels? That's something I'm still debating on. The problem with these wheels is it has a freewheel on the back. It doesn't have a cassette, so I can't do upgrades on this. And the way I want to build this bike, I think I would need a cassette. I think I want a cassette for a little bit more better range. I think I want a cassette for a little bit more range on the back and how I want this bike built. So with that being said, we're gonna build wheels for this bike. That's my current plan, is I want to build wheels for this bike and be able to have them built myself. So that's a plan right there. It's gonna be a while before that happens, but again, like I said, this build is not gonna be as fast as the beast. It's not gonna be as fast as that. It's gonna take a little bit. So we're gonna build wheels for this, build our own set of wheels. That way we can run what we want to run and make it all work and be nice, happy, and be good together. So that pretty much covers that. And then of course we're gonna go not with these tires. These are kind of your street, city riding tires. We're gonna go with the more aggressive set of tires, of course, kind of gravel tires for here. I like to stick to about the same, maybe even like a 38mm. About as wide as I want to go. I feel like a 38mm gravel tire is gonna be a really good compromise. I've ridden skinny tires. I've ridden skinny tires for a long time. I've ridden 25mm. If I'm gonna go with aggressive, I'd like something like a 35 or a 38. I feel like that's pretty happy medium. I think my wife's bike has 38s on it. So that's what I like to do. Run 38mm tires on this, that would be pretty good. The other thing that's down here is brakes. So this thing came with standard side pull brakes on here, which I mean are pretty basic at the least. The problem with the current side pull brakes is when I switch the wheels up, the wheel gets bigger and the brakes are not going to work with these wheels. So that's where one problem comes in. That's where one of the problems comes in right there, is they're not going to work. What we're going to do, and I've thought about this for a long time, of what I want to do with this bike, what I want to do with the brakes, whether I want to potentially modify these to make them work, and still have side pull brakes, but make these work, or if I want to do something completely different. Now a lot of you are going to say, oh, go disc brakes. I don't want disc brakes on this bike. This bike, it's too, I don't want disc brakes on this bike. That's period. I just don't want them. I don't want them. I've talked about it before. Mountain disc brakes are great for certain purposes, and this is not the purpose where I want disc brakes. So this is where some of the fabrication starts in. We are going to make mounts, and we're going to install cantilever brakes on this bike. And that's the plan. Those are kind of your old school gravel bike brakes that work great. They have good mud clearance, good dirt clearance, and they work. They work, and that's what I need to happen on this bike. I need clearance, which they're going to give me, then they're going to work probably better than what's on here right now. So we need to do cantilever brakes on here. We're doing cantilever brakes front and rear, so we got to fabricate tabs. So we're going to have to figure out a way to pretty much mount the brake bosses on here, so we can have those studs there, so we can mount our cantilever brakes to them and figure out all of that stuff. So that's going to happen with that. That's probably the most complex part. That's one of the more complex parts on this build. Moving on from there, of course, seat posts going to go away. I don't want those at all. That's just kind of a given, but of course we'll put it down here. Moving on from there, we're going to move down to our drivetrain. And again, this is one of the parts that I've thought about for a long time of what I wanted to do. And number one, we're going to need a different bottom bracket. Of course, that's going to need to happen. This is a really weird old school bottom bracket that I don't want to run because of obvious reasons. So new bottom bracket, of course, is going to happen here. And I'd like to go for a modern style bottom bracket, which is going to revolve us from pulling this apart, measuring everything up, see what we can find that actually fits this bike. That's going to be one of the first things. Of course, if we can't find anything that fits this bike, we're kind of sunk. So we need to figure that out. Going with that, our cranks and our chain rings, those are going to go too. These chain rings are horrible. They go from it's like a 40 to a 44. 40 is the smallest, 44 is the biggest. That's not much of a difference. So we're gonna change the cranks, and I would like to go with the 1x setup on this bike. So pretty much one gear in the front, and then however many gears in the back is what I'd like to go with. So we're gonna do a 1x setup. And going with the 1x setup, that's kind of why I don't think I want to stick with the free wheel on the back. I can get a much wider range cassette that would go along with that one bike setup up here. I have no clue what gear I'm going to choose yet. I think I've seen 38s is what I'm thinking, so maybe like a 38 tooth in the front. That might be what I'm going with right there. That'll look, I think it's going to work really good. It'll get rid of our front derailleur. Realistically, around here, if I have a wide range cassette and a 38 up on a single on the front, that should get me through most of the stuff here where I live in Nevada. So that should work. That'll pretty much be that. Kickstand's gonna go, of course. I don't want the kickstand. So that pretty much covers this whole area here. Of course, pedals. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with pedals yet. And we're not gonna run these. I don't know if I'm gonna go flat or clipless or what exactly my plan is there yet. But we'll put pedals down just so it's on this list. Past there, realistically, I think the last thing that we need to really talk on this bike is the rear derailleur. So this is the other part that's going to be a little bit complex. This derailleur has an integrated hanger to it, and that hanger goes behind the axle bolt. The axle nut is the problem. With that being said, this is not how most derailleurs come nowadays. So I either need to find a bracket that'll work there, or the better option that I think I would go with is actually making a derailleur hanger tab come off of there. So that's one of the other things we need to think about with this bike, is figure out what we want to do. Whether we make some kind of whether there's a plate that I can make that can adapt to this, or make a tab here that holds the derailleur in place. Because for what I want to do with this, the cheap derailleurs aren't going to do anything. The most I'll go up to is like an 8-speed, and I want more than that. I want more than that on this bike, of course. So we're going to figure that out. So there's our list right there. That has everything. The whole plan for the Project Galaxy. And is there stuff I missed? Probably. And that's okay. You know, as we build this, there's going to be more stuff that comes up. That's the one thing I've learned with projects like this. Stuff's going to pop up as you build this bike. And I'm okay with that. You know, it's not something I'm in a drastic hurry to build. Like I said, it's going to take a while to build this bike. It's not something that's going to be just a straight focus like the Project Mongoose or the Fat Bike. This is going to be something that's going to be a while. It's going to be something that comes every once in a while that you'll see a video on. There's a lot of money that needs to go into this. And with that, one of the questions I know you guys are going to ask is, why are you building up this crappy old bike when you could just buy a new one? And obviously, if you're new to the channel, you haven't watched my channel very much, I look for things that are on a budget that will work, is what I'm doing, is what I look for. So realistically, with all of this, I'm really not going to be looking that expensive of a build on this bike. Maybe a couple $100 worth, I don't really know. Realistically, with all of this here, this isn't going to be near as much as a new bike would cost. The amount I paid for this bike and the amount that's going to go into it with this build here is not going to come even close to what a new bike would cost. Even some of the ones you'd find at like Walmart, it's not going to even come close to those. So I'm pretty happy with this idea. I think it's going to work. Let me know in the comments below if you are excited about this build and you want to see more. Of course, if you have any suggestions to anything I talked about today or anything that's on our list, let me know. You know, I'm not an expert on this, I'll say that. I'm not an expert on completely resto modding in this whole entire bike, but let me know. Let me know if you have ideas. Obviously, there were a couple things I said are going to be a little complicated. Let me know if you have some, you know, if you have an idea or if there's something you want to see on this bike. You know, I'm definitely open for suggestions. This is just what I've thought about. This is what I've been thinking about for the past winter. This is essentially what I've been doing. Thinking about this bike for the winter, trying to figure out what exactly I want to do with it. So, hopefully you guys are looking forward to the Project Galaxy build. If you are, give the video a big thumbs up. Appreciate the support. Any comments or questions, let me know in the comments section below. Love talking with you. Love answering questions you guys have. And of course, this list is going to go on the Galaxy, so you guys can remind me and you can hold me accountable to actually building this bike and getting it done. But until next time, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching today.